Okay, good morning everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Khushbu. I'm a PTF in the ISOM department. I think I've been in the learning and teaching profession for just over a decade, and like many of you, I like trying new things that could enhance the learning and teaching experience. So here I am to share something that Joe and I have explored over the last year. So I'll hand over to Joe to kick off.
Thanks. Thanks, Khushbu. I'm Jo. Most of you know me more as Jo than Josephine that's on the profile. She's been here for about 10 years. I've been here about 20. So, dating myself here. So I've been a while here. So for what we're going to cover today, we've picked the course that Khushbu and I co-taught the last couple of years now. So I've been here for a while. Currently holding PTF as well. So I've been exposed to all the courses in ISOM in business school. So we've gone through a whole lot of technology realm, and also I think that's what we're here today. So we're going to the next one. Go ahead and hold. Okay. So I start off the first step of the presentation. We'll take on the second half. The task we got given today was basically to answer those three. So we're not sort of trying to derail into the further discussion that we usually get spurred off from topics that we can cover today. So to get people into what we're covering today is specifically looking at Canvas, outcome, and learning masteries. So Canvas everyone's using for their course to a level of extent, whether you do it minimally or extensively. For the courses that we both are teaching, we've used them quite extensively. Basically, we've got no course book, no textbook, everything's on Canvas. Things are recorded, so everything is accessible as maximum as we can. So the course that we were going to basically talk about today, specifically using the outcomes with the Canvas and learning masteries, is the Stage 2 course, a core course that all IS major business would have to take. The science faculty also have students needing to take that as a core course. So we get two core cohort of science and commerce students coming through. Enrollment size, we're looking at between 250, high 200, 300 each semester, so it's a double semester course that we can basically repeat. Courses being divided into two halves. I usually take the first half and whoever my colleague take the second half. So the course focuses on getting them the basic blocks of being a junior business analyst. And the course is also affiliated with, for those of you who know of IIBA, International Institute of Business Analysis. It's an international standard that all business analysts could basically climb their career path up to get their certification through there. So with this course, what I've done is I am affiliated with IIBA, where I sort of started to tweak the syllabus to suit their 53 competency level to match my syllabus with what they require for a junior BA to go out into industry as. And so as of, it was late 2015, we managed to get that academic recognition and a stamp, being the first New Zealand university to get that academic recognition. So all my students who get a B and above will automatically get that basic certificate of IIBA. So that sort of prompted them to climb that career path of being a certified BA from there on. So the 6 weeks blocks of syllabus that I cover goes on what do you need to know or to do as a BA. And then the second half, they get a bit more practical hands-on of producing some sort of a prototype or UI kind of piece as a group work, basically showcase and say, this is my work. Okay? So just to give you a bit of what we cover in the course. So in terms of what we do, then we're using Canvas outcome with a whole new with a graduate profile, and our learning outcome is basically being sort of being embedded. We have used Canvas to capture those learning outcomes and get that reflected down to each piece of your assessment marking rubric. So we have, say for example, few assessments, and each assessment will have an online marking rubrics on that they will see. And underneath it, without carrying any specific weighting points, we will reflect based on what have they achieved in reflection of their learning outcomes that is being shown in their course outline. So they could come back and say, well, this assessment, it says on the course outline we're supposed to have met learning outcomes 1 and 2, and then coincide that with graduate profile 2 and 3, how have I achieved? So we still rate them, but it doesn't carry any marks. So it's like an assessment feedback for them to say, have I delivered what I promised that they will basically learn out of the course? So a lot of the time we get students saying that, why are we doing this? You know, only tell me things that I needed to be tested on. So we basically, or I usually tell them in my first class to basically ingest the the course outline, because I sell that to them as a contract between them and our course. Because if they know what they're in the course for, and if I haven't delivered that, then it's their call to be able to say, what have you told us about this point? So that assessment feedback is the feedback channel that we give back to them. A little bit more about the course also that would help in terms of understanding what we've done is the course being a stage 2 course, we've only got a 30% exam as opposed to a typical 50%. So it's quite heavy on the assessment and the coursework ones. The point that Rob mentioned about, or was it Susan that mentioned about courses that having 2 assessments throughout, it's not going to work with my course because it's quite hands-on. There's a lot of little assessment. We've got campus quizzes, we've got in-class engagement, on-class pop quizzes and stuff. Some are assessed, some are not. So it's a course that it's very heavily engaged, which is what main criteria of a BA needs to be. They can't go and say, here's a template, tell me what you want to build and I'll build it for you. So we need that whole engagement. So that's a practice that they need to have throughout 12 weeks with the whole course. So that's just a whole quick background. The next few slides is just letting you have a quick view of where it is for those who are not using outcome within Canvas. So within Canvas, you will see an outcome tab on the panel, and that's basically how you could set it up to match what your potential outcomes from, whether it be your course outline and whatnot. And within the settings, you would see inside the Canvas, in the settings side, if you go and click on the features option, that's where we could switch on the learning mastery marks book as well as the learning outcome one. So you switch that on and you can basically build on what you want to basically embed into it. Okay? So Khushbu will show the rest of the second half and how we've done.
Thanks, Joe. Okay, so just to tell you why Canvas outcomes. I didn't know this feature existed in Canvas just over a year ago. It was over a dinner conversation with my husband actually, where I was telling him that I met with some students at stage 2, and I was really surprised that a lot of them are so oblivious to what the course learning outcomes are as they progress through the course. And some of you may know who my husband is, and if you do know him, you'd know that he might know a thing or two about Canvas. And so he mentioned Canvas outcomes, and he said, I don't know too much about it, but that might be the solution to your problem. And so I started exploring it, and soon after that, Joe, who's the course director for Infosys 220, mentioned that the course had been nominated to trial the new course outlines with the mapping to the graduate profile capabilities. And I thought, that's the perfect course for me to try Canvas outcomes. And the other reason that we thought it was a really good fit in Infosys 220 was because of the hands-on stuff that Joe just mentioned. So a lot of our students finish the course and they're able to apply for junior business analyst roles. And we thought it would be really good to give them some more feedback on their capabilities within the course, and Canvas outcomes would do that for us. So how does this all work? As Joe said, you need to plug in your course learning outcomes and the graduate profile capabilities. You need to plug those in first, and then you can align them to your rubric. So this is just a little snippet of our assignment 1 rubric, where you can see all the different course learning outcomes. The LO are the course ones, and then we've got the GP, which is the graduate profile capability. So we map them to all the different rubrics that we have in the course. And one of the immediate benefits that we saw from doing this is that it just made our tutors more aware of these learning outcomes as well. So not only were the students looking at the rubrics, but the tutors and the markers are also looking at them. And everyone's not getting caught up in the little details that are required in the assignment, but they're also looking at the big picture, what the bigger learning outcome is. And the good thing with this is you can also click on the view longer description to then read the learning outcomes. So it's a little reminder of what the different outcomes in the course are. So what does feedback look like? We can look at feedback in different ways. One of the ways that we looked at was using the rubric analytics tool, which is part of the UOA toolbox. And with this, you can see there's 3 categories. There's does not meet expectations, which is our goal. We want all the students to meet that learning outcome or meet the expectations of that outcome. And you can see our first assignment happens in week 4, and all the items that I've circled are just below the 3 mark. So the students, on average, haven't quite met the expectations in terms of those learning outcomes. But as we move on to the second assignment, which happens in week 7, we get to see that some of the outcomes that are aligned to the second assignment as well, all the ones that have the little arrows on the side, are ones that were also there in assignment 1. And generally speaking, we're seeing an improvement across all of them. So while you can see the first 2, we still have them just under the 3 or just under the meet expectation, there's still been an improvement within those. And the last assignment, which happens in the last week of the semester, pretty much everything is above the 3 mark. And all of these outcomes have appeared in assignment 1 and 2, except the 2 that have starred there, the user interface and project management, but they have been assessed in other areas of the course. So not in assignment 1 and 2, but we have them elsewhere. So the good news for us is overall, all our students, or on average, all our students are meeting the expectations. Here's another way of looking at the feedback. You go to your Canvas Markbook or Gradebook, you'll see another tab there called Learning Mastery. I think, like as Joe showed you that screenshot early on, it's something that you need to activate in Canvas to look at, but this pretty much gives you the whole canvas of what the marks look like, and you can see they're all out of 3 because the goal is to meet expectation. And the way Learning Mastery works is as long as the student meets expectation, they're said to have met mastery. So you can see the little list there. You can toggle between those as well. So if you select just the near mastery, then you get to pinpoint the specific students that are almost there. So you can shoulder tap them, you can give them additional resources, additional assessments, and you can help them. The other way you can filter that is by using the streams. So it was good for our tutors because they can then filter down, look at specific students in their lab streams to provide that additional help. I'd also like to show you what this looks like from the student point of view. So I've got my test student here, and if you go to the marks for the student, you'll see they have 2 tabs here. Again, this is something that needs to be activated in Canvas. So they have the Learning Mastery tab, and when they click on it, first they get an overview, so they get to see that out of all the 8 course learning outcomes, they've mastered 6. In terms of the graduate profile capability, there's 3 out of 6. They can then expand that as well and look at the breakdown. So for example, for this one, they've got 2 alignments that appeared in 2 assessments. They had 2 opportunities to do that. The first assignment, they did not meet the expectation. The second one, they met expectation. So they can also see their progression through the course. The same with the graduate profile capability. So you get to see the different alignments as well across all the different assessments. And so just to summarize, some of the limitations, we did get lots of questions from students after the first assignment. As Joe said, there's no marks associated with the different outcomes that we have on the rubric, but we had a whole bunch of students thinking they were penalized or they got less marks because they did not meet the expectations in terms of the learning outcome. But after the first assignment, once they were aware of it, we didn't get any more questions. The second one is the marking time. I was a little bit concerned that it might take up a lot more time from my markers. We have a course of about 300 students, but I don't think the difference was that significant in terms of marking time. And the third thing is I wish I could align the outcomes with more assessments in the course. At the moment, it's just the 3 assignments. The good news is that Canvas has just launched a new feature which helps me align questions, specific questions in quizzes to the learning outcomes. So that might be something we'll trial. And then we also have exploring the mastery parts, which is designing custom assessments for students and mapping out specific parts for different students to help them achieve outcomes. Again, a beta feature that we'll be looking at. So yeah, that's pretty much us. Some of the resources are up there. I think I'll only talk about the first one because I think it's the most important one, is just having a play with the feature and seeing what you can do with it. Yeah, happy to take on any questions. Thank you.
I want to do this in all my courses now. Are you happy to come and help me?
For you, sure. Andrew and I go back a long way. Any other questions? Yeah.
Thank you very much, because this is a feature of Canvas that I was probably most excited about. So thank you for sharing your experiences with it. It's really exciting to see. I'm wondering, so when you originally loaded in your graduate profile elements and your learning outcomes so that you could then match them to your assessment rubrics, can that then be shared across courses, at least for the graduate outcome side of things, or does each course have to then load those in by themselves if you're all mapping back to the same graduate profile elements?
I think you have. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you will do that at the account level. So you can do your graduate profile at the faculty level, at the departmental level, and then that's available for every single course to pick and choose and use them. Right? So you'll do that at the account.
I think that's us. Thank you.